Ba-na, ba-bum.
Bum, brung.
Welcome to a new edition of the Blue Review. Hey, new edition, one of my favorite bands of all time. 8:30 a.m. a new start time. Marcus, are you awake yet? You look, you
Oh no,
look
I'm
pretty.
awake. I have a small child. I have to get him up and out to school. I have been up for multiple hours by now. I still have a big giant travel thermos of coffee, but no, I'm awake.
Here we go, right there with you. Got my Bucky's sticker for any of
Mhm.
you who know, you know. But of course, like we said, welcome to the new time slot of the Blue Review. This is the first day, so if you're not awake yet and you're just kind of trickling in, no worries. We will be here every day, every weekday, excuse me, from 8:30 to 8:55. That sounds weird to say, but we'll be here talking Dodgers, getting your early morning Dodgers talk in. So this is your destination for Dodgers talk in the morning. So be here or be square. Marcus, we got a lot to get into. A great
Yes.
weekend. The 103-degree weather wasn't the only triple digits we were talking about this weekend. Shohei's massive bomb, 116 off the bat. So I'm excited to get into that. Of course, Flaherty's performance and just the overall series win against the Guardians, and maybe previewing some of this Cubs series. So before we do so, let's just remind everyone that here at the Blue Review, we're presented by LAX, and our friends at Los Angeles International Airport are changing the travel experience, reducing traffic daily, saving guests time. And if you want to learn more, you can check it out at flylax.com/transforminglax. All right, Marcus, let's do this. 8:30 Dodgers talk. How did you feel about this Guardian series win? I don't know if you kind of want to start at the beginning with Friday with
Yeah.
Knack kind of stepping in for the Stone after the unfortunate news. Yeah, why don't we just get right into that? Of course, Stone going on the IL, and Knack stepping up.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the stuff that was not so great and ending with the way that the series ended, because I think
Yeah.
the way I felt on Friday afternoon / Friday evening was very different than the way I felt yesterday afternoon when it was all over. I mean, we sort of found out what Friday afternoon, Gavin Stone going on the IL, shoulder inflammation. They are hopeful. Now, mind you, we're hearing this news from Dave Roberts, so let's keep that in mind. But they are hopeful that maybe if things work out well, he can come back at some point this season. But they certainly recognize that the time is short, that it's a very thin margin right now for him to come back. So it starts with that. The Dodgers go out and just basically get shut down offensively on Friday night. And then the even worse news, Teoscar fouls a ball or gets hit on the pitch rather, on his foot, limps off the field into the clubhouse. And on Friday night, the reports were he was going to be on the IL. From Dave Roberts, it didn't look good. We were all thinking the worst. I was ready to quit everything and maybe never show up on this show again because it just felt like the sky was falling. But all the things you mentioned, Landon Knack. I mean, he deserves credit because he stepped in and really held that lineup down and gave the Dodgers a chance to win. They couldn't score anything offensively. They just couldn't generate any offense besides a Shohei home run. But that had nothing to do with Landon Knack. He went out there in on short notice, gave them an outstanding start. He's continued to be great whenever they've called upon him to fill in. So that was definitely a positive from Friday. But then, Parker, we get the good news on Saturday that Teoscar's situation not as serious as originally thought, and he could be back potentially today, maybe tomorrow. But either way, Parker, it's a 180 degrees away from where we were on Friday night when it seemed like things were bad and maybe Teoscar's season was over.
Yeah, that was everyone's initial reaction. I mean, you saw Greg's tweet scaring. I know everybody in the chat, you saw Greg's tweet. As soon as you hear to speak with media in 20 minutes, it just seems like you said it the best, Marcus. The world is falling, and I was so happy to hear Teoscar himself once he was like, I should be okay to play again. Like you said, Monday, consider day to day. That's just massive. We cannot afford another loss in the batting lineup.
Yeah.
Granted, we're losing so many arms, but that's just something that they've dealt with all year to where it feels like they're finding ways to fill holes and make it to October without arms, and they have the best record in baseball. But if you lose a bat, like we saw when we lost Mookie in an important bat, things can get really shaky because like we were looking at how they're playing right now, 17-8 since Mookie came back, and you just see that Shohei's been able to perform a lot better because you got that Mookie right behind you. It's similar with Teoscar. If you lose Teoscar, the whole bottom half of the lineup starts to get a little worried and shaky because now you can't pitch. You have to pitch to Gavin Lux the way that you would to Teoscar. So um,
Right.
it was scary. It was scary, but definitely good news on the horizon. He should be okay. But looking at Saturday, I mean, outside of the also Shohei hit his 45th on Friday, which was like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
despite the L, he's still
Mm-hmm.
hitting them in bunches. The offense immediately stepped up in the first inning on Saturday. How'd you feel about just the entire lineup really going in? I mean, Pages, he's welcome back, six in
Yeah.
the first inning. It was great. It was great to
No,
see.
it's absolutely great. I mean, it got started was a Tommy Edman had the RBI 2-run double, that the ground rule double that kind of got things going. And what I really loved about Saturday was they immediately put the pressure on and they kept it going because how many times have you seen this offense? They'll get a couple of guys on, they'll get the bases loaded with less than 2 outs. And it just feels like they leave opportunities out there. Maybe they get one. Sometimes they don't get any. And you walk away feeling like it was a missed opportunity. So not only to get a couple, but then to end up getting six, they end up chasing the starter. He didn't even get out of the first. Gavin Williams doesn't get out of the first inning. And even after he gets chased, after the was it the I think it was Miggy Rose single or double that brought in a couple of runs. Pages, as you mentioned, comes in and hits the 2-run homer to make it an even six. I would have liked to see them keep scoring. They only got one more the rest of the game, which was on the home run by Mookie Betts. But they built a cushion, especially for it being a bullpen game, knowing that you were going to have to go through a bunch of arms. And really, outside of Michael Grove giving up the home run, everybody was mostly solid. Justin Robleski enjoys walking a tightrope. That's a thing that I learned this weekend. I mean, there seems to be no such thing as just a calm, easy 1-2-3 inning for Justin Robleski. But even despite him running through traffic for most of the afternoon, he got through 2 scoreless innings. So it was sort of nice to feel after a while like, okay, Saturday they can sort of breathe, they can regroup for Sunday and try to win this series. So Saturday was a really it was just kind of nice to get things out of the way early, especially for me. Like, I'm going to be selfish about it. It was nice to get it out of the way early, knowing that USC was playing later in the evening.
Yes.
There's only so much stress I can handle in my life. Fortunately for me, both the Dodgers and USC were stress-free this weekend.
Yeah, you get a Dodgers win and a USC win on the same day, and that's how I always used to know it was a good day when I was a kid. And sometimes Lakers in the same day too, once all those overlap.
Yeah.
But you look at Saturday's performance and seeing the 7 different arms and still getting the W. Shout out to Honeywell for getting the W. It was really cool to know that going into the Flaherty situation. Well, okay, maybe really cool isn't the way to put it. Because were you worried if Flaherty wasn't able to go over 6, like how yesterday would have looked? So if in case you missed it, if anyone missed it in the chat, Flaherty absolutely dealt yesterday. 7+
Shoved.
innings pitched,
Yeah.
shoved. 6 Ks, I believe it was, 0 earned runs. If he didn't do that, would you have been a little worried?
It depends how far he would have gone, right? Because it seems like the standard Flaherty start is 5.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like his better starts have been 6, but for him to go out and give them 7+ innings was fantastic. 7 and a third, 4 hits, no walks, which is huge. No walks, 6 strikeouts, and just was never really stressed at any point in that game yesterday. And that was, to me, the most fantastic thing because, yeah, I mean, after having had the bullpen game on Saturday, if it turned into a thing where Flaherty was not going to make it through 5 innings, if he had given him like 4 2/3 or 5 innings at the most, then you are looking at a situation where you do have to sort of dip back into that. And yeah, they did use Kopech on back-to-back days. Phillips, a little bit rocky last night, but was able to sort of work his way through it. But honestly, Flaherty giving them 7 1/3 means you got to rest everybody else in that bullpen. Now you've got the Cubs coming in who, look, the Cubs they're playing some good baseball right now. So knowing that you've been able to save some bullpen arms, I think, Flaherty gave them a big, big boost for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Greg, welcome. Thanks for being a great girl dad. I know you were dropping off the daughter, but hey, you're still with plenty of time.
I mean, the fact that I made it 10 minutes late and I'm in here is absolutely amazing because I came from Simi Valley, which is
Oof.
over an hour and 15 minutes away, hour and a half away, and I
Jeez.
somehow made it here by that time. May have gone a little bit faster than I should have, but either way, Jack Flaherty was absolutely fantastic yesterday. When we got Flaherty, it was for outings like the ones he threw yesterday. Being able to go as deep as he went, was able to keep his pitch count down, limited getting guys on base, got some strikeouts. Was just his pitch count was so low. It was very, very nice to see from Flaherty because that's if he's going to be doing things like this the rest of the way, it feels really, really good going forward. Because especially with all the injuries everywhere that's happening on this team, I'm sure you've talked about Gavin Stone already.
Yeah.
It's just killer.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely killer. And so it's amazing to get this kind of start from Flaherty. Look, they win 2 out of 3 against a really good Guardians team, right? And the one we talked about it, Greg, the way the weekend started and the way the weekend finished, 180 degrees different, right? Because the weekend starts with the news of Gavin Stone going on the IL. Teoscar gets hit on the foot with a pitch, and it just seemed like the world was ending at that point.
It ended for me.
I saw the reports and I almost texted you guys that I just quit.
It's over. I'm out.
I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. And so then, fortunately this time a Dave Roberts injury report goes in their favor, right? Like at first it was, oh, this is bad. It doesn't look good. We're not going to see what happens. To turn out to, hey, he could be back on Monday. Yeah. For it to start though, as dark as it did, the Dodgers losing, to then you get 2 out of 3 with Jack Flaherty just being lights out. It feels really, really good now going into this week. The magic number is 13. We're talking about magic numbers. That tells you where we are in the season, right?
That's so exciting to talk about magic numbers. I mean, we probably could have been doing it a long time ago with
Probably.
this team because they weren't too far off from that. But I mean, like even on, I missed the first 10 minutes. So I'm not sure what you guys have talked about, but Saturday, even though that was something that it was an all bullpen game, the fact of the matter is they got through and won a game when it was just a strictly bullpen game. Wrobleski kind of scared me a little bit. Michael Grove scares me a little bit. Like those two guys, I don't see making it onto the postseason roster. But Wrobleski got through it. It just seemed like every inning he pitched, which I think was just the two, was 2 on and 1 out, 2 on and 2 out, and just like one little hit could have made that game go completely different.
Yeah, no, he enjoys playing in traffic. Like he's not. It's terrifying to watch because you're right. This is a Guardians lineup that can hit, right? And you get traffic on the bases, and one pitch, and suddenly it's a 1-run game all over again. Which is sort of why Mookie hitting the home run to make it 7-2 made me feel a little bit better. I'm like, well, you're out of slam range at that point, so it gave you a little more leeway to sort of play with there. Because Wrobleski, put him in the circus because he was walking a tightrope pretty much the entirety. It was only 2 innings. It felt longer than that, but it was only 2 innings that he was there.
I know. I felt like he was in for like 5-6 innings, like he did in that 10-run game. But it's funny the way you put it. You put it in like you're out of the slam range. That's just that's just the only way to really think of it anymore. Because like you just never know if this bullpen is going to explode at some point, and if they do, it would be by the slam. Be like, oh. Here we go.
Yep.
It's like, but the fact of the matter, they are all pitching so well. I don't like you. I heard you mention it before. I don't like that they pitched Kopech in the situation that they did pitch him in. I understand that it was on back-to-back days, so they didn't want to give him. They didn't want to go too heavy on him. But the fact is, what are you doing? Put him in at 7, 8, 9, like the bottom of the lineup.
That's why
a 2-run game.
I sort of questioned using him on Saturday in the 7-2 game. I'm like, all right, well, you've got a good lead here. I mean, I saw they brought Trinan in the 5th, and then they went to Vesia. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, so, how do you work this so that you avoid using Kopech and Phillips, right? Like you've thrown Trinan. All right, if you want to run Hudson out there, you still have Vesia. There are other guys you can maybe throw, I don't know, Joe Kelly, can he throw an inning or so, something like that? But
isn't he on the IL?
He's on the IL. You're right.
Yeah,
you're correct.
So
but I was just like, how do you avoid using Kopech and or Phillips knowing that, there's another game, right? That's not going to be a 5-run game the next day. So what do you do? But I was surprised, but somehow they were able to use Kopech a second day in a row.
I mean, to your point though, like the Guardians are a really, really good team. So they're one of the top teams in the American League. So that you're being careful, which I understand, but yeah, save some of those guys for a moment when it matters. And then because you used them, you had to put them in a 2-run game, the bottom of the order, and then you had Phillips warming because it was only a 2-run game, and so they had to. Then when they made it up to 4-0. You still had to put him out there because you warmed him up. So it's just a then you got to blame him. Now we have 3 games against the Cubs, which seems like an easier matchup, but it's not. There's no easy matchups at this time of year. I mean, look what's going on with San Diego. San Diego lost 2 of 3 to the Giants, and the Giants are just not that good. So it's also nice to talk about the Giants or the Padres for a second. You're seeing what's happening. The Dodgers are staying hot. They're beating the teams in the American League. They're beating the good teams, and they're winning 2 out of 3 or winning the series, however it happens to be. And the Diamondbacks and the Padres are starting to fall off just a little bit. They're still kind of staying close, but the fact is they keep moving backwards. So, this is what happens. They were never going to play 900 baseball for this long. So at some point, this was all going to start working out, and they see that the Dodgers they're just clicking on so many cylinders right now.
They really are. And again, you want to look at what's upcoming, right? We talk about the Dodgers having the Cubs coming up. The Padres, they've got 2 against the Mariners, who are still very much in the AL wild card race, so they have a lot to play for. Then they got 3 more against the Giants, who, as you mentioned, just took 2 out of 3 from them in San Diego over the weekend. They got 3 against the Astros, who just finished beating up on the Diamondbacks over the weekend. Then they get the
2 out of 3.
Then they get the White Sox, so we'll ignore that. But then they finish up. They finish up with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, so it's rough for them. I mean, the D-backs over the next couple of weeks, they've got 7 against the Brewers, and then they finish up with the Padres. So for both of those teams that are behind the Dodgers right now, the schedule it finishes on a pretty tough note. Whereas for LA, like there are some tough series. They still have the Braves coming up, but they have the Padres, but they have a 6.5 game lead, right? A 6-game lead in the division. So they have an advantage where, even down the stretch, even 500 baseball brings them in, I think, the rest of the way. So they've built themselves a really nice cushion. I think they're in a great spot to finish this thing out.
Oh, they're in a great spot just overall. And I understand that the Phillies are right on top of them. Like they're right. It's right there for who's going to have the best record. I wonder how much it matters. It's really going to depend on what those matchups could be. They're going to be either 1 or 2 in the National League and have the best, either the first or second best record in baseball, most likely. But it depends on what happens there, because who you want to face. If you're looking at it, if you can get through the NLDS, who you want to face in the NLDS, because overall, if you can somehow avoid playing the Diamondbacks or the Padres,
avoid staying out of the division.
Somehow
stay out of the division.
I mean, but then you're asking for either the Braves or who else would it be? I guess it would be the Mets. I just don't feel like it's a very strange situation to be in, and that's where we're getting into the fun part of who you're going to be facing moving forward.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, I don't ever want to call out an opponent, right? Because that's when it comes back to bite you a little bit. Yeah. But, you have a Braves team that doesn't have Ronald Acuna. They don't have Spencer Strider. Those are 2 big pieces to what they do. I mean, the Mets right now are really, really hot. And I always worry about playing a really hot team going into the playoffs because they've been in playoff mode for a while. But, the Dodgers handled the Mets pretty well earlier in the season, for what it's worth. Now, that was a Mets team that was still figuring a lot of things out. But I don't know. I feel like because the last couple of years, the Dodgers have played in division in the playoffs and it has gone really, really poorly. Let's just try something different. Let's just stay out of a division matchup in the postseason.
See, I'm totally with you because all the reasons from the last couple of years, but also the Dodgers seem to be doing very, very well against teams that are not in the division. I think their record against the division is pretty good too, but like the American League, they seem to win 2 out of 3 against every team they faced in the American League. Maybe you've seen it different, but I know they took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees take that series. Now I'm forgetting. It was so long ago.
They won 2 out of 3 in New York. That was that amazing series where Yamamoto was just ridiculous,
Yeah, so the Yankees, the Orioles, they took 2 out of 3. The Guardians, they just took 2 out of 3. They didn't play the Astros this year. Did they play the? I see again. It's things have happened so different. They took out 2 out of 3 against the Mariners. I think they did play them earlier. I just don't remember what happened. But all the teams in the American League they can beat. So if they can get into the World Series, which we are all very much hoping for, I feel pretty good about how they play against those teams. They are built to beat those teams. Now it's just about getting through the teams in the division that they are so snake bitten by.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sitting here as you're talking. I'm kind of looking because there was a tweet yesterday about the Dodgers and their record against the American League because they finished really, really well. 30-16. That's what it was.
30-16 is fantastic
against the American League this season. So that's really, really good. Yeah, I mean, so fingers crossed they make it all the way to the World Series. I mean, I don't know how much that means, but it's certainly a thing you can kind of keep in your back pocket to talk about a little bit. But more importantly, they got to finish this thing out. And I think the most important part is get arms healthy. We're supposed to see Yamamoto probably tomorrow against the Cubs. It seems like the reports are very positive about Glass now. It seems like he's progressing and supposed to throw some bullpen work this week. Fingers crossed that for Stone he's able to recover. Fingers crossed that the swelling goes down in Kershaw's toe. That's just it, man. Keep the batting order healthy, get the pitching staff healthy, and let's get ready to go.
Yeah, that's why I was so terrified and I know it scared a lot of people on Twitter when Teoscar, they said yesterday, he's going to talk to the media. And I was like, oh, no. Anytime you talk to the media, the day after, it's like, okay, it's all done. Thankfully, I'm okay. I should be back either today or tomorrow. He should be back in the lineup, which huge sigh of relief. But yeah, it's as long as you can. When it comes to the pitching staff, if Glasnow, Yamamoto, and Flaherty are all healthy, I feel pretty good that you can find somebody else. It might have to be Walker Buehler. If Walker Buehler, because depending on what happens with Kershaw and Stone. But Knack, by the way, was really good on.
He was.
I was very happy with him.
He gave them everything they could have asked for on Friday night.
Yeah. So if those guys are all healthy, I feel pretty good. And Buehler, I just wanted him to pitch well tonight. Pitch like he has been pitching the last 2 outings and just keep building upon that into getting stronger and stronger. And then we'll feel even better about this pitching staff, Parker.
No, I love you. Really answered my question that was going to close us out was, despite all the injuries, how do you stabilize a rotation that just hasn't been stable all season? And you kind of answered it. As long as you have those 3, you might be able to find that next guy. And we are hoping, and it sounds like you're hoping, that it's Buehler, just based off of seeing Gavin Stowe go down with the shoulder inflammation and then the bone spurs with Kershaw. Buehler might be the only one, really. But there's a lot. There's a lot of track that'll play into it. Yeah. Knack, exactly. But despite everything, since Mookie's been back, I think it was August 12th, they've been 17-8 in that stretch. You guys mentioned the record against the AL. So many good things happen in Dodgerland. Greg, since you weren't here earlier, I want you to kind of close us out and just remind everyone that we are here every day from 8:30 to 8:55. This is the new time slot. I see a lot of people still in here, but just giving them the reminder that they can see us every day. And that's been a great episode. Good job, guys.
And thank you very much, Parker, sitting in for that first 10 minutes, 11 minutes, whatever happens to be. Just pop on whenever you want. You don't got to go away. You're always welcome to just stay there. But either way, be here from 8:30 to 8:55 every single day, Monday through Friday, with Marcus Grant, myself, Parker Bell, and we're going to be talking Dodger baseball. This is the time. This is the exciting time for Dodger baseball. I know football's going on. I know there's a lot going on, but right now, this is the really, really exciting portion of the season for Dodger baseball. So make sure you're here from 8:30 to 8:55 Monday through Friday on the ESPN LA YouTube channel, and we'll be right here to talk all things Dodger with you every single day. Thank you very much, Marcus. Thank you very much, Parker. We'll talk to you tomorrow.